Grab your block if you've got it. We're going to come to bridge pose, and you can place that block in any setting between the knees or the thighs. Start with your hands on your front ribs and really push the big toes into the ground. Use the glutes to lift up, but notice if those ribs have thrusted up toward the ceiling, and just kind of hold them in place, feeling really long around the sacrum and the low back. We're going to reach both arms up, palms up like we're holding a tray, and let's focus on the shoulder blades. Push those palms up toward the ceiling, that's protraction. And then settle the shoulder blades back to the ground. So they're retracting a little bit. Protract, shoulder blades spread apart. Retract enough to get those shoulder blades back to the ground. And just try that a couple more times. Like you're getting a little bit of freedom in the shoulder blades, between the shoulder blades. Now hold that left palm up, and we'll take the right fingers and just pull back into a wrist stretch. Keep that gentle hug on the block. Breathing into the side and back ribs. Switch hands, stretching out that right wrist. Really try to send your breath into the side ribs and then into the ground underneath you, into those back ribs. Bring your hands back to the front ribs. As you exhale, we're going to lower slowly all the way until we land the sacrum. And from there, you can adjust the block. You can take it out if you don't want to have it, but we'll come into our ab set. So hands behind the head, elbows up or elbows in. Big breath into the side and back ribs. Exhale, hug the block if you've got it. Lift off the shoulder blades, again, without popping or thrusting those ribs up. Draw those pelvic points in. Inhale and lower. Breathe into the back ribs. Exhale, hug the block. Lift off the shoulder blades without yanking on the head or neck. Feel those two pelvic points kind of cinch together like you're tightening your drawstring. Inhale and lower. Exhale, hug the block as you lift. We're going to reach the left arm forward at a diagonal toward that left knee. Now protract, just like we did in bridge. That might get you a little bit higher off the shoulder blades. Hand comes back behind the head. Inhale and lower. Exhale, hug the block. Lift off the shoulder blades without pulling on the head. Reach the right arm at a diagonal toward the right knee. Reach your fingertips even further, protracting that right shoulder blade away from the spine. Hand back behind the head. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift, hugging the block. Keep that sacrum down, so don't let the low back arch. Left arm reaches at a diagonal. Protract. Retract, back to that neutral. Again, protract. Retract, hand behind the head. Inhale and lower. Exhale, hug the block, lift up. Right arm reaches. 2 times. We're going to protract, retract, protract, retract, hand behind the head, inhale and lower. You can remove the block. We'll take a little rock, side to side or up and down, and we'll come into quadruped. So coming onto hands and knees, let's focus on the shoulder blades again. This time it's a closed chain position with our hands fixed to the ground, but we're going to be doing the same action. So knees in nice and tight. If you wanted to, you could absolutely have your block on your sacrum to make sure we're not moving there. Elbows stay straight. We protract, so push the palms into the ground. Our shoulder blades spread away from the spine. Without bending the elbows, soften the chest down. Shoulder blades retract in toward each other. Protract, broadening and spreading the shoulder blades. Retract, they draw back in. So you can do this any pace. But a couple things to check for. We want to keep those arms straight so the movement doesn't come from bending the elbows. And we're trying not to cat-cow the whole spine here. That spine is staying pretty much neutral. It's not rounding and arching. We're just feeling the shoulder blades spread away and draw in. Protraction and retraction. Good. A couple options here. Move the block if it was balancing on your sacrum. You could, of course, come to down dog. Spread the fingers, Tuck the toes, really pike the pelvis up, or you can lower onto your forearms, dolphin pose. Fists interlaced, palms down, tuck the toes, pike the pelvis up. Same thing here, knees are gonna stay soft, so spine and pelvis are neutral. We really pick up the front ribs so we don't droop or thrust them toward the ground. Now you can just stay here and breathe. You can try to shrug your shoulders, lifting the shoulder blades up toward the ears and down the back, getting some elevation or upward rotation of the shoulder blades if that feels good, to really work and free up that upper back. Wherever you are, we're gonna lower the knees down, take a quick child's pose, any kind, only sit the hips back as far as it feels good into that hip flexion and knee flexion. And today we're just gonna walk our way to the front of the mat, and we'll get started with our sun salutations here. So we'll rise up, check in with our neutral spine, like we have a broom taped behind us, reach the arms forward and up, get those shoulder blades way up toward the ears, elevation. Exhale, hinge, belly to thighs, right foot back, lower the knee and the top of the foot. Lift up into that active 90-90, pelvic point cinch in, right glute firm, let the arms dangle, roll one shoulder back at a time, but let's really focus on the shoulder blade doing the moving. So it lifts up, elevation, draws in, retraction, comes down the back, depression. So you want to feel that whole range of motion of the shoulder blade. Hands come down, quadruped. Same protraction and retraction like we just did in the reset. This time, if you want to amp it up, you can hover the knees as you protract and retract. That's going to add that extra deep core engagement. But again, try not to let the ribs get involved or the spine. It's just the shoulder blades. Pike the pelvis up, down dog. Spread the fingers. Take a breath here into the side and back ribs. You can step your right foot straight forward into a 90-90 or lower the knees. Then step the right foot forward. We untuck the left toes, rise up, 90-90 on the other side, zipper that pubic bone up. Roll one shoulder back at a time. And again, let's feel the shoulder move, the shoulder blade, not just the head of the arm bone, but the whole shoulder blade getting involved. Active in that left glute. Hands come forward, or you're welcome to bring them to a block. Left foot steps forward to meet the right, bent knee forward fold. Press the ground away, and let's really elevate those shoulder blades up toward the ears without thrusting the ribs. Hinge forward, belly to thighs. Left foot back. Lower the knee, but not the toes this time. 90-90, firm that left glute, cinch those pelvic points in. We'll goalpost the arms. You can pulse both arms back, retracting the shoulder blades, or you can try to pulse one back at a time, which takes a little bit more brain power, but let's make sure we're not popping the ribs or tipping the pelvis. Just that feeling of the shoulder blades squeezing or drawing in toward the spine as we pulse the arm. Hands come down, quadruped. Toes can be tucked. You can hover, you can have the knees down while we protract and retract the shoulder blades in this closed chain position. So arms are fixed to the ground. We've got that body weight working the core as we mobilize the shoulder blades. Down dog, tuck the toes, really pike the pelvis, lift those thigh bones up, keeping the belly pretty close to the thighs by bending the knees. Big breath in. You can, of course, step the left foot straight forward into 90-90 or lower the knees. Left foot steps forward. Keep the right toes tucked under. 90-90, left foot forward. Hold that neutral pelvis. Goalpost. Squeeze both shoulder blades in, pulsing the arms back, or one at a time. This might be such a small movement. We want to make sure that the front body is not pushing forward at all. So almost like we're wearing a wetsuit, zipper that front body up. Firm that right glute to hold the pelvis still. Hands come forward or to your block. Right foot steps forward to meet the left. Bent knee forward fold. Reach the arms forward and up. Starting our sequence, bend the knees, hinge forward. Right foot back, lower the knee but not the toes. Rise up, same 90-90 to start. We're going to bring our arms forward with fists. Lift your shoulder blades up. Squeeze them in, retraction. Draw them down the back, that's called depression, and then we protract to reach forward. Lift up to the ears. Squeeze in, draw down, protract. So you're going to keep doing it. It's like a circle, but we're really doing one motion at a time. Keeping the ribs from moving forward. So keep the ribs stacked over the pelvis. Good, modified side plank, right hand down, or you're welcome to bring it to a block. Shoulder over the wrist, right knee slides in, left foot back. Now let's check in with the right shoulder blade, that bottom shoulder blade. Think about kind of clicking it onto the back of the ribs, a little bit of retraction there. Don't let those ribs pop forward. We're gonna circle this left arm. You can go either direction, back stroke, forward stroke, whatever feels good to mobilize that left shoulder. But the goal is to hold that right scapula, that right shoulder blade so still on the back of the ribs. Float that left foot up. We're going to step it forward toward the front of the mat. Lift off the right knee. Continue turning to the right. Externally rotate the hips. Bend the knees. We're in goddess squat. Goalpost the arms, make fists. And then just tip your fist forward. So our goalpost is just horizontal. And let's retract here. Little tiny pulses, squeezing the shoulder blades in toward the spine without the ribs thrusting forward, without the pelvis tipping forward. So keep that low back long. Pelvic points drawing in. Turn to the back of the mat. Quadruped. Take a little cat-cow here and let those shoulder blades just naturally move. They're going to retract a little bit as we extend the spine, and they'll protract a little bit as we flex the spine. Find neutral. Tuck the toes. Hike the pelvis up. Down dog. Belly toward the thighs by keeping the knees soft. Now we're going to step the right foot forward toward the back of the mat. If you want to float the right leg up for three-legged dog first, and then step that right foot forward. We'll turn to the left, so back to where we just came from, facing the side of the mat. Arms come out, tap those shoulder blades onto the back of the ribs, like we're retracting a little bit, and we'll side lunge, any pace, but against gravity as we hinge forward. We've really got to retract those shoulder blades in, because with gravity, they're going to want to protract. We're going to want to round the upper back. So we really have to use those upper back muscles, our core muscles. Good. Lower the hands, turn to the front of the mat. Our left foot is forward. We're coming into a tilted lunge or tilted crescent. So tilt or hinge that upper body forward over this left thigh. Zipper that front body up. Fingertips reach down. We hover the fingertips, retracting the shoulder blades, and then protract, reach further. Retract, protract. Keep the front of the body still, retract, protract, couple more. Strong and active in the legs and the glutes. Good, step that right foot next to the left. Second side, reach the arms forward and up. Shoulder blades way up into elevation. Exhale, hinge, belly to thighs. Left foot back, lower the knee but not the toes. Rise up, neutral spine, fists forward, lift the shoulder blades up. Squeeze in, draw down the back, and then protract. Lift up, draw in, draw down, protract. So you can go way slower. Let's try to get this isolation of the shoulder blades without the pelvis moving and without the ribs moving. Left hand down or to a block, modified side plank, left knee slides in, right foot back. Now let's check that left shoulder blade. Click it onto the back of the ribs, almost like you're retracting a little bit. Keep the front ribs from thrusting. Right arm can circle or backstroke either way, mobilizing that right shoulder as we stabilize the left shoulder. Let's float that right leg off the ground. Step it forward toward the front of the mat. We transition to the side of the mat. Goddess squat. Externally rotate the hips. Goalpost the arms, make fists, and then tip your fist forward. Tiny little retractions here. So the shoulder blades just draw in toward the spine any amount without the rib cage popping forward. So it might feel really small. Let's turn to the back of the mat for quadruped. Option to stay on your hands or even come to fingertips as we cat-cow a couple times. Feel the spine move. Feel the shoulder blades move. Find neutral. Tuck the toes, down dog. Pick up the ribs. Our left foot is going to step forward, but you're welcome to float the left leg up, no higher than hip height, and then step it forward toward the back of the mat. We'll turn to the right, facing the side of the mat where we just were. Arms come out. Click those shoulder blades onto the back of the ribs as we side lunge. So we're thinking hips and butt back as far as possible, maintaining that kind of hug of the shoulder blades in toward the spine. So it should feel quite active here in the upper back. Maybe a little opening for the chest and the front of the shoulders. Let's turn to the front of the mat, tilted crescent, right foot is forward. We hinge over that right thigh, zipper the pubic bone, keep the ribs in, fingertips reach. Hover the fingertips by drawing the shoulder blades in. Protract to reach further. Hover, retraction, protraction, arms get longer. So we're doing the same protraction and retraction, but this is called open chain. So our hands are not fixed to the ground. Our shoulder blades can just move without that body weight. Step the left foot next to the right. Okay, we're gonna do our stream. So we're gonna do that one more time with some add-ons and some extra challenge. Reach the arms forward and up. Get those shoulder blades way up toward the ears. Hinge forward. Right foot back. Lower the knee, not the toes. Rise up. Same 90-90. Fists forward. Let's protract first. Depress, draw down. Retract, draw in. Lift up toward the ears. So we're going opposite circle, protract. Draw down the back, it's pretty hard. Draw in, retraction. Lift up, elevation. You might have to go a little slower this direction. It's a little bit harder for the brain to figure out. Modified side plank. You're welcome to have right hand on the block. Right knee slides in, left foot steps back. This is a little different. We're going to add on. So we're going to do one backstroke with the left arm. Either way, forward circle, backward circle. And then bring left knee down for quadruped. Thread the left arm under, thoracic rotation. Push into the right hand, back to modified side plank. One circle either direction. Knee to knee, quadruped, left arm threads under. Push into the right hand, modified side plank. Circle, so we're working on that right scapula stability. Thread it under, thoracic rotation. Back to modified side plank. Backstroke one time. Now stay, float that left leg up. Step the left foot forward toward the front of the mat. Lift off that right knee, turn to the side of the mat, externally rotate. Goalpost with this. This time we just leave our goalpost and retract here. So we don't have to tip it forward this time. Tiny little pulses. You don't have to have fists if you don't want. You can just have fingers open. Make sure the ribs aren't thrusting forward. Turn to the back of the mat. Quadruped. We're going to protract and retract. Closed chain, same movement of the scapula. Find neutral. Step 1 foot at a time back to plank, holding the shoulder blades neutral. So notice that they immediately want to protract. Lower the knees, relift the throat. Exhale, lower down with control. Tops of the shoulders stay lifted. We're going to goalpost our arms here. Zipper the pubic bone up, almost like you're trying to lift the belly, firm the glutes. Float the arms up. If you want to lift from the front of the throat up, keeping the back of the neck long, you can. But keep that lift in the low belly. Hands under the shoulders. Tuck the toes. Down dog. Walk your feet in, shorten the stance. Spread the fingers, pick up the front ribs. Now our option here is to shrug the shoulders up and down. A little elevation or upward rotation of the shoulder blades. Good. Right foot will step forward, or you can float the right leg up, three-legged dog. Step it forward. We're going to stay facing the back of the mat, high lunge. Zipper the pubic bone up, pelvic points draw in. Palms forward, arms forward, open chain, protract and retract. Push forward, pull back. Keep that left glute really firm by pushing into that left big toe. Good, hands come down, turn to the left, facing the side of the mat. Feet are parallel, arms come out. Tack those shoulder blades onto the back of the ribs. Side lunge, exactly like we did in the first round, or keep that retraction, add a little pulse back of the arms. Either way, we've really got to work against gravity so that the shoulder blades don't spread away or protract. Turn to the front for that tilted crescent. Left foot is forward. We hinge forward without drooping the ribs. Now we're going to swing one arm forward, one arm back. Feel the armpit and the shoulder blade really lift up toward the ear. If you want to make this a bent knee airplane while we swing the arms, you are welcome to do that. Keep the pelvis from tipping forward, the ribs from drooping. Step the feet together. Good. Second side, reach the arms forward and up. Armpits lift way up. Hinge forward, belly to thighs. Left foot back. Lower the knee, but not the toes. Rise up, 90-90. Active in that left glute. Fists come forward. Protract, reach forward. Draw the shoulder blades down the back, depression. Draw in, retraction. Lift up, elevation. Protract forward. Depress down. Squeeze in, retraction. Lift up. So keep doing that kind of slow circle. You can go way slower if that's better for your scapula. Keep the ribs stacked over the pelvis. Modified side plank. Left hand down under the shoulder or to a block. Left knee slides in, right foot steps back. Click that left shoulder blade in toward the ribs a little bit. Make sure we're not thrusting the ribs forward. One circle with the right arm. Lower to quadruped, thoracic rotation. Right arm threads under. Push into that left hand, back to modified side plank. One circle. Knee to knee, quadruped, threaded under. Come back, modified side plank, stabilizing that left shoulder blade. Circle. Quadruped, threaded under. Modified side plank, and we hold. One more circle. Keep that left scapula still, float the right leg. Step the right foot forward. Lift off the left knee, turn to the left side of the mat. Externally rotate, we're in our goddess. You can have fists or hands open. Retract both shoulder blades in, so we're doing a little pulse back, but don't let the ribs pop. Nice neutral spine, like we have a broom taped behind us. Turn to the back of the mat for quadruped. Protract and retract a couple times. Find neutral. Step one foot at a time back to plank without changing your shoulder blades. Lower the knees, relift the throat. Exhale, lower down, collarbones stay broad. Goalpost the arms, zipper the pubic bone to the belly, firm the glutes, float the arms. Maybe we lift the front of the throat up. Locust, hands under the shoulders. Tuck the toes, walk the feet in, down dog. Keep the thigh bones lifting up into the pelvis. We'll try to shrug the shoulders here. Shoulder blades glide up toward the ears and then down the back. Left leg can float for three-legged dog, or just step that left foot forward. We're gonna stay facing the back of the mat, high lunge, right knee is soft, pelvic bowl is upright, palms forward, just like we did in quadruped. Protract and retract. Push those palms forward and then pull them back toward the body. Lower the hands, turn to the side of the mat, parallel the feet, arms come out, click those shoulder blades in, side lunges, or add that pulse. Keep clicking the shoulder blades in, a little bit of retraction, so they're kind of squeezing in toward the spine, but let's make sure we're not drooping the ribs down to the ground. Maintain that full contact of the feet, big toe, pinky toe, and heel. Turn to the front of the mat, tilted crescent. We hinge at that right hip, belly toward the right thigh. Swing one arm forward, one arm back. Really think about getting the armpit and shoulder blade up toward the ear. Option to load that right foot, float the left leg, bent knee airplane. Heading back to quadruped, hands and knees. We're gonna take our left arm, cross it in front of the right, so we're in this cross arm position. Cat cow a couple times like this. Getting a little bit more space between the shoulder blades. And then switch, cross the right arm in front of the left or over the left. Cat cow a couple times. Really round the back. Good, let's uncross, make your way onto your back. If you want to have a block under your head, you can absolutely do that. We'll bring the arms out either wide with the palms up like a T or goalpost as long as that doesn't pop the ribs up. So either position, pick up the right foot, cross it over, figure four, holding that triple S. So pelvis stays steady. Maybe we float that left foot if it feels good. Option to add a little rock, side to side if that feels good for the right hip. See if you can slow the breath down. Really feeling that 360 expansion around the ribs. Keep the shoulder blades on the ground. And release it down. We'll switch sides, recheck triple S, pick up the left foot, externally rotate, cross it over for figure four. Stay here or pick up the right foot. Add any variation here, as long as those ribs don't pop up toward the ceiling and we don't lift the shoulder blades up. Release it down. As we finish up today, we have the option to take the block under the shoulder blades. You can do horizontally across both shoulder blades. You can do vertically between the shoulder blades. And we'll just lie back down, knees bent. Support your head with your hands. So interlace the hands behind the head. You can have elbows in or out, whatever feels good for the shoulders. And you can lean back and lift up, a little flexion and extension of the thoracic spine. You can rock side to side like a little side bend. Anything that feels good here as we mobilize the upper back and the shoulder blades and help to open the chest and the front of the shoulders. Just try to slow the breath down. Make sure you're not clenching the jaw. You can absolutely stay here while we finish up, or if you want, just slide that block out. Find your final resting position. If you're on your back, check in with that triple S. If you'd like to end seated, that's all right. We'll close the eyes. Relax the forehead and the space between your eyebrows. Soften the jaw. Take at least a few deep breaths here, feeling that front, side, and back expansion of the rib cage. Whenever you're ready to finish up your practice, take a moment to thank yourself for your practice today. Sending one grateful thought out into the universe.